build muscle and lose fat on the carnivore diet.
Hello guys, better grab my microphone. There we go. How's everyone doing tonight? Let me know in the comments how you're doing. Tonight is session number 68 of Carnivore Muscle Ramblings for myself, Jonathan, the host. Tonight we'll be joined by absolutely no one, and it will just be me tonight. So unfortunately, I might have let some of you down. Anyway, I'm going to get to the questions, but before I do that, I'm going to be going through something I was meant to put up on the screen 5 minutes ago, but I didn't. I'm going to put it up now. Okay, put it on the screen. So here's my current update for my bodybuilding contest prep. Shot with a 4K resolution camera phone, apparently. Does it take 4K? No, because lighting is not optimized for anything. I'm trying to get this right for you guys so you can actually see what's going on. But anyway, that's me as of right now. You kind of see roughly. Unfortunately, the screen doesn't work the way I'd like it to. But anyway, that's me as of I think Friday, so a couple of days ago. Hairier than ever, so I need to have a shave at some point. Comparisons between this week and last week, much more detail in the calf, quadricep, a little bit more around the obliques. Waistline has come in significantly again. The outside of the bicep is more evident, more striations in the shoulder, more of a kind of rounded pec kind of area. Not necessarily amazing, but better than what it was. Again, shoulder striations coming through. Much more detail in the shoulders, which is interesting. Calves, again, much more detail. Not much fat left in my calves at all, just probably 3 millimeters, if that. Then, yeah, so not too bad. Hamstrings coming in slightly, so that's good already. About 16 and a half weeks out, roughly. Anyway, for a more detailed talk about what I'm doing in my contest preparation, please check out my YouTube channel member section. In which case, I made a lovely video today, which was actually put out today. Sorry, to the YouTube channel members. Starts at, I believe, 99 pence, which works out like $1.20, something like that. And that talks about my contest prep, what I'm doing right now. And I'm going to update that log roughly every 1 to 2 weeks. So it'll be a talk about my current diet, what I'm doing, I'm thinking about how my training might be, a bit of mindset as well going into it from that point onwards. Anyway, there we are. So I'm just going to go through any questions you have, guys. So please put a question in the chat if you do have any at the moment. That'd be much appreciated. Of course, Beginners First in the house. Thank you for joining tonight. Joining roughly 35 minutes in advance. Very good. Appreciate that. I've just got back from Presidente Supermarket. Heart attack chicken for lunch. I had that for dinner today. I had it with some like beef gravy, which is quite nice. Not too bad at all. Chicken is dry as hell because there's no fat on it, but I've actually been opting more for turkey thigh mince or ground turkey, and also beef mince or ground beef recently. Most of my meals are starting to look the same already, which is, I'm at that point in the contest prep where I just favor certain kinds of foods over others. So I'm eating loads of meat right now. If I had to guess, I'm probably getting about 2 pounds of meat a day, and it'll probably go up a bit more as I refine the diet down, but I just lean out the meat, and that's effectively it. So I'm tracking my food intake, adjusting the fat to go down as my fat level in my body goes down, and it works a treat. Mood is stable. I don't feel that tired yet. Although this morning I did feel quite groggy waking up. Other things to note. Strength still very good. I don't feel that flat yet in terms of my muscle fullness. Maybe a bit less volume than usual, but that's to be expected on a diet. But yeah, all round's pretty good. Joints seem reasonable. Hips still agonizing, so I'm waiting for results for the CT scan that I had 4 weeks ago tomorrow. Still, so I'm going to be waiting forever for more interventions as per usual. Other than that, very good. I'm going to get into the next lot of talking now. I think we've got John in the house. Thank you for joining. Was it Paul? Sorry. Thank you for joining. And Lambs as well. Thank you for joining. Nice to see you here. And Mike, thank you for joining. Nice to see you. If you do have any questions, guys, let me know in the chat. Is it just me today? It'll probably be a slightly shorter talk today, so I recommend getting them in sooner rather than later. Happy Monday. Good day to start the week, I think. Nice to see you, Matthew. And Sophie's here. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you hopping on. Sophie, are you going to be producing any more videos for your channel subscribers? Let me know. Your post-production team is imminently waiting. Got a question from, I think, Paul. Sorry if I called you Paul. I remember your name. I remember who you are. I can't remember the names very well. Rainwater is lower in deuterium. Is it safe to harvest and drink rainwater? Depends where in the world you're from. If you're from London, probably not. The rain from the clouds is water that's dissipated from the land beneath it. Obviously, cloud coverage, wind comes into it as well. Now, is it going to be safer or lower in deuterium than, say, China, industrial factory area? Yeah. London's not much better, though. So I wouldn't recommend drinking rainwater from London area, if that's where you're talking about. If you live a bit more rurally, it's probably not too much of a problem. Generally speaking, if you come from a city, I'd probably not drink the water. Is the water going to be significantly lower in deuterium in a more rural area? Probably not. Maybe, if I was to guess, maybe 2 to 5 parts per million less. Rainwater tends to be apparently about 145, something like that. So it's probably better, but I'd only drink it if you're in a rural area. The best place to probably get water if you're going to catch it from the rain is somewhere in the Swiss Alps, I imagine. Some mountainous region, maybe in the polar ice caps. Most people can't access it unless people don't get there. So your next best bet would probably be Evian bottled water. Other than that, people look at reverse osmosis water. I don't do that. Too expensive for me. For me, Evian water, so I'll drink it, but that stuff, not the worst thing. I'm not convinced yet I'm going to die from drinking bottled water, but that's what I drink. And I drink about, including all liquids, 2 liters per day. So that usually looks like 1.5 liters of Evian water a day. I don't mind using sometimes still spring water as well. That's not the worst thing. So that's a good alternative as well. But yeah, none of this stuff's absolutely innocuous. You cannot get away from all contaminants unless you live in the ice caps and you catch the snow, then melt it down into water. It's not absolutely safe. So that's my take on it. But there's probably more information out there that I haven't yet bothered to access because I'm focused on bodybuilding stuff for the most part. So if you say probably not, don't have much to ramble about. We could talk about work-life balance, maybe talking about having children, meal timing around kids, do a meal prep. This is what I eat. A low-carb meal prep for myself and kids. Low-carb snack options that you have found in the shops. That might be a good video. But yeah. The webcam has failed, otherwise I would join. No worries, Rick. If you have Wi-Fi and you have your iPhone that still works, that might be an option for you to do if you want to jump on that way, but that's completely up to you. Are there any amino acids that do not break a fast? Good question. No, because all amino acids, actually, that's a good question. Let me think. You'd be looking at the gluconogenic amino acids that can break a fast, as in they can be broken down into glucose molecules downstream through the breakdown of molecules in, I don't know, what is that? I can't remember now. My brain's gone. But yeah, there's probably a few amino acids that don't necessarily break a fast, but I wouldn't bother having them. I mean, the ones that you'd be looking at in your kind of situation, if you're trying to build muscle, lose fat, what have you, are going to be leucine, taurine, and citrulline. And as far as I'm aware, they all can break down into glucose and do have an energetic component to them. If you consume food or drink that has an energetic component to it, which is pretty much everything, or even a hormonal element to it, so even sugar-free sweeteners, say you have Diet Coke, that will have a hormonal element to it, so it would technically break a fast in that it would affect your body's biochemistry. Does it have nutritive value? No, but it does have a hormonal element to it, like I said a few times. So I probably wouldn't bother looking into it. I just do a straight water fast. And I actually prefer, if you're strong enough to do it, dry fasting. Personally, I'd rather do say an 18-hour dry fast than a 24-hour or 48-hour water fast. I find it better. And it's not as tedious to worry about drinking too much or adding more electrolytes or doing loads of other stuff that you probably don't need to do. So that's probably my take on it. And I think dry fasting is probably better bang for your buck. I've been drinking rainwater for some time. I've not died yet. We're surrounded by the ocean here. Yeah, it could be safer if you're near the ocean. So that's interesting. Where I live, would I do it? I'm somewhat rural here. I mean, I'm not out in the farmland, but there's a literal farm about 4-minute walk away from my house, so it is technically quite rural or suburban, maybe. It could be okay for me. I don't know. But good point. If you like it and you've not been ill, what's the problem? And also, if you are in a more equatorial latitude, if that makes sense, then you probably would deplete more deuterium through sweating. So it's not going to be a bad thing, I don't think. And if you've been eating an animal foods diet for 40 plus years, I highly doubt that you're going to have a problem with deuterium levels in your body. What I would like to know is, which I can't seem to get an answer out of anyone I've asked, I've Googled it, chat GPT'd it, and over the past, I'd say, few years, I've listened to, well, it's about a year, I've listened to roughly 80 hours of talks about deuterium and quantum biology, and it seems to be that no one knows how much you need to do in order to deplete deuterium and for how long. What would be nice to see is you need this kind of diet with this much energy balance or mass balance in your body, and you need to deplete deuterium by drinking this kind of water and doing this kind of sunlight exposure. I don't know, this fasting, this, I don't know, cold therapy, cold thermogenesis to elicit this response. That's kind of the way I'd like to go about knowing more about it. I'd really like to know, but I don't think anyone will know. But it would be nice to see over time. But I'd think myself, I mean, I had a very high carbohydrate diet in the past. And I looked at perhaps, I was having like 1,000 grams of carbs a day or something. So yeah, my deuterium level at that point in time would be significantly higher than most people's. But then saying that activity component comes into it, I've suffered with chronic fatigue for a long time. That has been somewhat alleviated over the past year, roughly. I'd attribute a lot of that to lower deuterium content within my body. So I don't know. But that's a question I continuously ponder. Speaking of difficult ones, sorry, your thoughts on how much biohacks, earthing, lighting, restricting blue light will influence our digestion, physical performance, water experience? Many thanks. That's a good question. That is a difficult question as well. My initial thoughts are, I'm going to reframe the question because I think it might be easier for me to answer if I puzzle it around a different way. What has been the most impactful to me for physical performance and digestion in terms of biohacks? For me, I would say restricting blue light has been the biggest one, especially at nighttime. I think getting outside is probably next best for me. So that means going out at some point during the day. I went out, I believe, did I even leave the house today? I don't know. At least once a day, I probably went outside at some point. Getting some morning sunlight is quite important as well. I think it is significant, but I couldn't say how much I'd measure it. That's been my experience, though. I mean, the first one for me is going to be the carnivore diet, animal foods diet. The next one for me is going to be getting the correct light exposure of some sort. The next one for me is going to be the exercise component. The next one for me is going to be social settings, surroundings, building good relationships with people. That initially, hundreds of years ago, that wouldn't be a biohack. That'd be a necessity, because otherwise the person next door to you would kill you and probably eat all your stuff and pillage your, I don't know, wife and whatnot. But now it's not a thing that happens. So it is now a biohack to do things which involve us doing our somewhat natural thing, if that makes sense. So to go, how do I put it? If we're going to our innate instinctual habits, which would be to go outside to collect food, what have you, then it's not a biohack. But it is a biohack now because naturally in our environment, we don't do these biohacks. So I think some of those things become more important as the days have gone on over the thousands of years, sort of thing. So I've not been very concise with the question. If anyone has any questions like this, please let me know. But if you can be more specific, that might be a bit more easy for me to answer. My brain's not functioning very well. I've just been informed that Andrew has joined us as a channel. I appreciate that. Thank you. It doesn't even tell me what membership you are, so I have to look that one up at some point. But it doesn't matter because you get to access all my stuff anyway for about £1 or so a month, which I think is absolutely great, providing you like the sort of stuff I put out. If you don't like my stuff, I wouldn't recommend doing it. But yeah, meathead or not, it doesn't matter. I appreciate everyone that is a channel member. Following your suggestion of slow pull-ups last week, it's a hard workout. I like it, but will I lose explosive abilities? No, apparently not. My friend Jerome Armstrong has a YouTube. My friend on YouTube is called Jerome Armstrong. He's always on here. You've probably seen him 1,000 times already. If you go onto his channel after you've watched me ramble on for whatever it is, an hour, I suggest you try and scroll down and find a video which is like explosive lifting truth or something. I don't know, something like that. Basically, what he found was a giant study or meta-analysis, whatever it was he wrote a long time ago, 6 months ago or so. I found it really conclusive, and I thought there's no sort of objection that someone would have for doing something, not from training a certain way and how that would envelope towards not being able to perform explosively. I would argue, why do you need to do anything explosive at all? If you're a lumberjack, that's not explosive. Realistically, it's not maximum effort because you're hitting the same thing over and over again. If you're digging, that's not explosive. That requires minimum effort, but quite hard effort, but for a long period of time. It's an endurance activity. The only thing I'd say which would be explosive abilities would be something like boxing. Box jumps. I don't know why someone would require in nature to do a box jump, really, because we have steps nowadays, we have ladders. So I think you might, if you're worried about losing explosive capacity, I'd question what you need to do that is explosive that you're so concerned about. If you're a basketball player, you don't spend all day jumping up and down, really, if you think about it. So it's not an absolute, if you train this way, you won't be able to do this. I don't think there's a negative crossover in that sense. I've not experienced anything bad about this at all. My lifts have continued to go up in the gym. What I have found is with more control, my muscles are actually stronger now. And I'm not using as much elastic strength, so my risk of injury is significantly lower. So I do deliberately lift much lower than probably I necessarily need to. But why do I need to move weight fast? What's the point? That'd be my ultimate question. But yeah, that is a good question. I appreciate that. One thing I've noticed is that I feel more relaxed and able to work as long as I spend at least a few hours outside and just looking at my garden through the window reduces my stress. Yeah, I'm certain colors of things and lights impacts our mood. I'm trying to do a bit of a biohack right now, but it doesn't really work. My bedroom light doesn't work, and it hasn't worked for a long time. I've got a red light panel here. That's in my gaze. I don't think it's absolutely making a huge difference because I've got two giant, extremely bright panels, as bright as you can get, something about putting the sun in front of you. So yeah, I think that's quite a big biohack in terms of like getting the right sunlight exposure. I believe the UV exposure reduces by about 42 to 44% if you've got a window in front of you. So what I probably suggest doing is just opening out the window slightly. So even right now, technically right now, I'm actually doing 3 biohacks. My room's freezing freaking cold. I've got a red light in front of me. I've got blue blocking glasses. Although, yeah, there's light panels which are probably throwing off a bit. What's the other one? And when I wake up in the morning, my window's wide open. So I've got a load of biohacks in one. So I've got cold thermogenesis and red light therapy and blue light blocking. There we go. A lot of the deuterium stuff is still theoretical, even though we can observe mechanisms, don't know optimal levels in the body and in what context. yeah, if anyone did know and wanted to know, it'd be you who would probably source that out. So it is frustrating. I completely agree. I would like to know more about it. In my Carnivore Bodybuilding Beef Up Bible book thing, that's on my website, I've actually reduced the price of it, by the way, I think to like $14.99 now, just to make sure I'm absolutely cheaper than everyone else who's got a book on keto or carnivore bodybuilding. That was one of the three things that I really looked at. So in the start of it, I sort of say, okay, why the carnivore diet? One of them was deuterium depletion. One of them was intestinal permeability. Another one was, I can't even think now. I'd have to look at it. But it's one of the other main things. It might have been light or something. But yeah. I agree. In many countries, these biohacks are just living. Yeah, for sure. I think the bigger thing that we definitely don't do over here in England is the barefoot thing. I would like to get myself some leather-soled shoes and all that sort of stuff at some point, but I don't think they make size 13 shoes that are made of leather. I don't think. But if you did know of anyone, Andrew, or you knew anyone that does know someone that knows about it, be happy and interested to know where you'd get yours from, because that's something I would like to do. The only problem is I walk mostly on pavement. I don't think the earthing capacity or the earthing ability is that great with pavement. I'd imagine it's better with water or grass or earth, obviously. Yeah, much cheaper and better than OnlyFans. You get to look at my mug for an hour every week, and you get about usually 2 to 3 videos a week or two in advance of everyone else. You get a few other perks as well. So I tend to prioritize questions from people that are members on my channel. I tend to be a bit friendlier as well, because if you're a channel member, I usually see you and it pops up with a membership icon. I know who you are then, because I'm not the most sociable people, as you probably worked out. I like pull-ups and perhaps wanted to work up to do muscle-ups. Yeah, but why do you want to do muscle-ups? What is the purpose of the muscle-up? Like, it looks cool. Yeah, like, I'd love to be able to do them. Like, if I just click my fingers and do it, yeah, but I don't have that goal in mind. I mean, if you want to do muscle-ups and get good at them, I'd suggest doing muscle-ups and getting good at them. I'll just preface this with a big warning. Any CrossFit movement, for the most part, is dangerous. Of all the sports in the world right now, CrossFit seems to be the one that, or one of the top ones, which at least cause a lot of injuries. So I definitely wouldn't be going that myself personally. But if it's your sport and it's something you want to do, by all means, go at it and enjoy it. Just be careful. I agree. People I know who are explosive always get injured. I get the same amount of work done without getting hurt, being slower and steady. Yeah, I think ancestrally people were generally more endurance-based. Why do I say this? The muscle fibers in our legs seem to apparently be composed slightly more of slow-twitch muscle fibers, which suggests to me that we don't need absolute speed in that kind of sense. I'd say most of our body is probably predominantly slow-twitch muscle fibers. Otherwise, we'd be like a monkey, sort of like pulling things and jumping up and down and stuff, but we're not. So it seems to be that we don't need explosiveness. I can't read that word. I have Jalausi windows when open, the only thing between me and the outside is a window screen. Okay. Question from Matthew. Is a machine preach curl a good exercise substitution for a regular dumbbell or barbell curl? Would it be advantageous to do both biceps or a weak point? No, I'd just pick one and then do the other. If I was going to do them though, I'd probably do the machine preach curl, in that your elbow is in a fixed position, it's braced, and you can isolate the bicep better. And obviously, we've probably had the discussion before. People that struggle to build their biceps tend to use a lot of swinging and inertia. Most people do that. The other thing they do is they have their feet on the ground, then they start to bounce, like they lift it like that. It just looks ridiculous. The way I'd probably go about it myself, I would do machine preacher curl or some sort. Preacher curl, I don't know. Then I'd actually flip round, so get a pair of dumbbells, so whatever weight. So you might do this as like a drop set sort of thing. So we'll do your machine preacher curl focus controlled, and spin round, get a set of dumbbells. I would always do curls seated personally, unless you want to use momentum for whatever reason, I don't know. Then so you set facing opposite away from the preacher curl handles, then you do your curls that way. That will give you a bit of extra movement, so you can cheat them up slightly without completely wrecking your body in the meanwhile. So that's how I would do it if I was going to do it. But personally, I would look at probably 2 to 3 sets a week, 2 to 3 sets to muscular failure. That's what I do. It seems to work. My arms are big-ish. My brother's barely trains his arms. His arms are big as well. If they're a weak point, I'd look at execution before adding in extra exercises, because what makes you think you're going to get bigger arms by doing the same thing, but rather than having it in a strict range of motion, you're doing it in a less strict range of motion. So you've got something which kind of works, which is good, but maybe you don't get good activation, to adding on something which is potentially insufficient or harder for you to isolate, just for the sake of doing more. So I'm not speaking to you as an individual about your technique, because I don't know. But what I notice for a lot of people is you can have a crap workout, crap exercise. If you add more crap to it, it doesn't make it better. You just get more tired. You might get more soreness, but it doesn't mean you're getting better. So it's that tricky kind of understanding of how much you need to do in the gym. But I would look at finding whichever exercise works for you and how it feels good for you. Then finding a range of motion which pretty much puts you in a situation where you're not going to strain any joints. And yeah, go from there. Maybe do some drop sets, some rest pause sets. So that's how I'd go about it personally. If you have more questions than that, let me know. Let me know. They should have some grounding shoes at the Health Optimization Summit in London in June. Had them before. Thanks. I have to check that one out. I'm going to put a note of that, so bear with me. Health Optimization Summit. Thank you. Excellent. Appreciate that. Pull-ups hurt my left shoulder. I always do close grip palms, pull downs or chin-ups. Yeah, I think they're a good exercise. I like underhand, so that way, or slightly inwards. I'm not the biggest fan of that kind of grip. I find grip is a bit iffy of that one. It tends to strain my hands a bit more. It's also harder to tuck your elbow in. So if you tuck your elbow in like that, spin your arm round, so your bicep is shorter in that range of motion, so you can actually pull it down further and deeper into your lat. Whereas if it's like that, you're limited. So actually, if you're watching this now, you don't know what I mean. Put your elbow like this, your hand like that. Now tuck it in and feel your lat like work, like pull, like squeeze your lat. Now do it the other way around. You won't be able to bring it in as far, limiting range of motion. So yeah, I completely get behind that. So I'd always do it that way. Failing that, you could do it that way as well. Neutral grip, that's not too bad either. West Africans and Jamaicans have a lot of fast twitch muscle fibers. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think the differential between people is like 5 to 10%. And I believe, don't quote me, but I read something years ago. So this is when I was doing sports science, and this was like 10 years ago. And there was a study where they got, I believe it was like elite athletes of endurance kind and sprinters. And they found, even though obviously they're both black individuals, they tend to be the best at endurance, apparently, from what I can see online anyway. It seemed that there's about 5 to 10% difference between them in terms of, okay, their quadricep muscles were slightly, maybe 5 to 10% more fast twitch. So maybe 55% fast twitch versus endurance, which were like 45%, something like that. So the grand scheme of things there is a small margin, but we don't know how much that margin makes a huge difference. I've run out of lighting. There we go. So my opinion is that, better sort this out actually. That's a bit better. Apologies. Yeah, my opinion is that it tends to be very sport specific, obviously. And the other thing is the neural side of it. So my dad, my brother, and myself are really fast at sprinting. Me right now, I don't try not to sprint at all. But for me, it seems that I can switch it on, like in my head. Like my brain works like I can move. Like when I'm actually running, I feel like, oh yeah, if my body would let me, I could really pick up some speed here. So it does seem to be, from my experience, very much neural as well as fast twitch muscle fibers. I can't run very far at all. My legs get massive buildups of lactic acid if I run like distance. So that comes into it as well. Your well, all exercise is aerobic, but there's also anaerobic degree of it. And for me, getting that threshold of exercise intensity for that long doesn't seem to work out well. You're right. No need to do muscle ups. The slow pull-ups are such a good workout. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I always get people. I think you probably remember this, but I always get people just to assess their goals. Like, okay, someone wants to improve mobility, strength, speed, power. Okay, what is your ultimate goal? So when you go to sleep at night, what's the thing you think? Oh, I really wish I could, I don't know, lift up a car. I really wish I could sprint really fast. Well, do exactly that. Do the movement which exactly emulates that if you can. Picking up a car is going to be really hard, so don't recommend doing it to start off. But yeah, the slow pull-ups are underrated, and you will get a bicep burn. Your forearms will burn doing it, but that's the point. It's a compound movement whether we believe it or not, because our body articulates multiple joints to pull ourselves up. So it's a really good exercise. I mean, I know Jerome always talks about like the big five and stuff. So you've got pushing, pulling, and leg movements of different kinds. Perhaps like a horizontal row. That's probably all you need to get like 80-90% of your results in the gym. Just be very careful with being specific about your goals. Otherwise, you'll spend so long trying to chase two goals, it just doesn't work. So when I get intake forms from clients, it's usually, so it'll be a 3-month plan, and they'll say, I want to lose 20 pounds. And I'll be like, you want to lose 20 pounds in 3 months, but you only have visually on the photos I see about 10 pounds to lose to be in excellent shape. How are you going to do that? So the goals have to be really specific. So I made a video to address this specifically, funny enough, about a year ago. I was actually near enough naked in the snow about a year ago. So if you try and go to my channel, type in like, I don't know, goal setting or something, you'll come up somewhere. But I talk about how to make smart, correct sort of goals. That's something a lot of people need to think about, and you wouldn't be the first person to not get that right the first time. I use an EZ bar cable attachment for close grip pull downs, as a straight bar hurts my wrists too. Yeah, for a lot of people it does. I do 4 seconds up and 4 seconds down. It seems like nearly everyone uses momentum and don't work the target muscle. Exactly. Yeah, I think the lowest someone can probably go safely is about 3 seconds. Exercise dependent. For me, calf raises, I could do them 3 seconds up, 3 seconds down, but why? Why do I need to do them any faster than that? So I tried to get at least 5 to 10 seconds on pretty much all my movements. But yeah, definitely safer. You feel the muscle more as well. And if you think about it as well, like I watched, I think it was on Instagram, someone that watches my channel, I think, and I like to see what they're doing. They're like in the carnivore space. They like to do some exercise. I won't give any more details away because you work out who it is immediately. But their form is absolutely terrible. And they're like, oh, I love what you say about training, Jonathan. What you preach about time to tension, this sort of thing, which I mostly learned from Jerome Armstrong, who also I've mentioned a few times. I was like, okay, great. Well, why aren't you doing this in your own workout? Like, it's great. You give me a compliment. I appreciate that, but do it yourself. If you think my advice is that good, do it yourself. Then you can get the result and train safer as well. People don't know how to count to 4 or 5 seconds. So 1 hippopotamus, 2 hippopotamus, 3 hippopotamus, 4 hippopotamus, 5 hippopotamus. That's 5 seconds. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4. So you'll be careful with the counting as well. So I actually put a timer in front of me. So I set my phone up like that in the gym, put a stopwatch on the front of the phone, put it on the floor, start, I wait till 10 seconds or whatever goes by. Then I start my set. On time, I keep moving it until I can't move it anymore. Then I lower it slowly. And that's how I finish my sets pretty much. But yeah, it's 5 to 10 seconds up, 5 to 10 seconds down. I find in movements that are very fixed. So for example, a seated leg curl is about 10 seconds. I can't really do it much faster than that, sorry. So yeah, it depends on the exercise as well, but 4 or 5 seconds up and down is pretty good for overall gains. There was a study that went around a long time ago, and I believe it sort of compared 1 second, 4 second, and 10 second each phase of the cadence, tempo, what have you. They found no difference in muscular hypertrophy between the groups. So yeah, you can lift fast. You can injure yourself a bit faster doing that. Absolutely. You can lift a bit slower. Yeah, risk of injury is a bit slower, a bit less, sorry. 10 seconds even slower. So I don't know, somewhere between about 3 and 10 seconds overall should do the job. So just find which feels comfortable for you. And some people can cheat a bit, maybe speed up the concentric a little bit to control the eccentric. But I wouldn't recommend that. And that's more so if you're an elite athlete that's been doing it for 20 years and you know exactly how your body responds to different stimulus, and you need additional stimulus from more heavier loading, if that makes sense. But for nearly all people that are watching this, doesn't apply at all. Being in ketosis helps massive endurance and also breathing efficiency. I agree. I'd say I'm no longer asthmatic. I haven't used an inhaler in quite a few years now. So that kind of tells me maybe something about this diet reduces in congestion. My breathing's certainly better. Then, you know, was it 4 ATP per, I don't know, gram of ketones or whatever it is, you know, can't even remember it right now. But yeah, you get more energy yield per gram of fat and ketones as well. So there's definitely something to that in terms of endurance. My opinion is muscle ups off powerlifters and not bodybuilders. If I was a powerlifter, I wouldn't do muscle ups at all because it's not a powerlifting movement. If I was a powerlifter, I'd be doing squat, bench, and deadlift. I'd think the only movement muscle ups are good for probably CrossFit if it comes up in your competition. If that makes sense. In my 20s, I did a lot of parkour, so varied grips pull-ups were great. I could do one on pull-ups. Look cool. That's cool. I think I did one once, but I got like here, then I couldn't lock it out. I think my body was just wobbling everywhere because I'm quite tall. So that's impressive if you even got one pull-up. But I have no doubt you probably got like 10 or something. When I was younger, I think when I first started training, about 14 years old, I could do 67 or 68 pull-ups in a row. I'm not exaggerating. Now I can do about 4 or 5. Meanwhile, what's funny about that is my brother can do, you know, chin-ups, pull-up, any sort of grip, you know, pull-up bar sort of thing. And he can attach a weight to himself, like 10, 20 kilos, and do like 6 to 10 reps. I'm like, well, I can't do that. But saying that, I can lift substantially more weight than he can on a lat pull-down, even though it's the same, you know, muscle groups activated. So that tells me how skill-specific exercises are. Because if we have the same muscle groups activated in an exercise, but I train with pull-downs, he trains with chin-ups and pull-ups, well, just goes to show, doesn't it? Exercise specificity 101. Now, this was the one of the training talks I did with Bar K about a year or so ago. I believe it was a talk with, I think it's like exercise with Bart K, red and white thumbnail, 12, 13, 14 months ago. One of my first ever long format videos with Bart K. That was really informative, and I highly recommend people watch that. I think it is on a playlist on my channel, which is under Bart K, I think. But if it's not, let me know, and I could probably find it. But definitely watch that one out. I highly recommend that one. That's probably one of the most useful generic sort of videos I've made with anyone for training specifically. Yes, I did parkour 20 years ago, but most guys could do muscle ups. That's impressive. Yeah, I can't do muscle ups, guys. Many bodybuilders take part in powerlifting competitions. I remember seeing Franco Colombo beating. Yeah, that's right. So he was a small man from, I believe, Sardinia, like an Italian island. But he was small but big, obviously. It's a massive chest, that sort of thing, arms and all that. He had such strong lung capacity because he did loads of swimming and stuff. They could blow up a, what do you call it? A hot water bottle. So if you're listening to this right now, whoever's watching, get a hot water bottle and try and blow into it. You won't manage to do anything with it. I can't, and my lung capacity is about 1,000 on the spirometry test. So that tells me he must have some serious lungs in him to be able to do that. I think he used to blow it up, hold it on the end, then get like a knife or something and stab it and it like pop. But that was pretty impressive. Yeah, if you guys have any more questions for me, let me know. I'm staying here for a few more minutes. Even if you just want me to talk about a specific topic and what I think towards it, just let me know in the chat. I'd be happy to help answer that way if I can. Yeah, that's cool. I might try and pull that up actually. Yeah, I have the capacity to do that. Of me just typing away. There we go. Hopefully this is it. I'm not pressing the wrong button. Yeah, I think coming on strong was the thing you said.
I do. LD right here, we're in muscle.
Incredible. There we go, guys. That was pretty cool. I like all these like party trick sort of things. I think they're pretty impressive. That is cool. My dad used to take photos of the bodybuilders in our garden. Frankie loves horse meat. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's funny that in some countries they eat loads of horse meat. There's one bodybuilder called Serge Nubret, a black gentleman. You might have heard of him. And he is a bodybuilder, I think, I'd want to say 80s maybe. And it's something like, oh, he ate 4 or 5 pounds of, I think it might be kilos even, of horse meat a day. And he was always shredded out of his mind. Like, he had a really impressive physique. I'll try and find it, actually. Type away. Unfortunately, they use pictures of these people in the thumbnail, just them, but then it's not actually them talking when they're in it, which I think is misleading. I know I've done it a couple of times, but mainly just to get people to click it. All right, here we go. I'm going to share the screen.
Made me lose my breath. It took doing years later.
Into the muscle.
The rest of your life, I don't speak about only bodybuilding, that your mind comes strong for everything.
Yeah, fascinating. Yeah, just goes to show what kind of body you can build without really understanding exercise science. The genetic component is obviously enormous there, but one thing I do notice about a lot of these like old school guys is they just train really hard, but they train for a feeling, which is different to what they do nowadays. Like I see a lot of people now, they train to be exact, which makes sense. You know, if you're using an exercise equipment, every rep should look the same. But these guys would sometimes change it up a bit. You'd see them shrug the shoulders or drop the shoulders or move the feet during a set. They just go until they can't move anymore. So it seems like they have that intensity level maxed out. But if they brought it a bit further in, I think, and just kind of got the form a bit better, a bit stricter, they probably have even better physiques. Maybe, I don't know. That's just me. I don't know what I'm talking about. I just ate the whole 10-pound back of chicken legs, cooked heart attack style. I wonder how many calories that was. If you burnt them, it would have been a lot of heat units, a lot of carbons, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I'm currently eating, in case someone's wondering, about 300 protein, about 50 carbs, and 140, maybe 150 fat at the moment, which isn't, I'd say I don't feel drastically tired or hungry or exhausted yet. But I will say doing this for months on end would take its toll for sure. So what I'm doing right now is, most people probably call it a crash diet, which it probably is for most people, but I know what to do once I've finished this fat loss phase. So basically just trying to drop my body fat quite quickly without suffering too much. Get to a point where I can see the lines of my physique better. Then I'll rein it back a bit before my competition, and that will do the job. But yeah, I'm looking to compete in 16 weeks, hopefully. Hopefully I'll probably be shredded out of my mind again. That should be fun. I do look forward to that a lot. Now, I don't think there's any more questions yet, so I'm going to give it a minute then to disappear. And so if you do have any questions, guys, get them in within the next minute, roughly. Do you do any neck training specifically? Personally, no. That's a good question. What I do sometimes do before competitions is I'll do like 2 or 3 weeks where I'll just do shrugs. I don't do any of, that sort of stuff. I don't do any of it. I find when I build up my traps too much and they do grow really, really fast, it's just awkward. I sit there and I'm like hunched up all the time because my neck's always been strained and like tired out. I'll sleep funny. Therefore, my neck's all squished up and I can't breathe properly when I'm asleep. So for me, I don't do any neck training specifically. I probably wouldn't do it at all either. For me, it's not. There's no point for what I'm trying to do. If I was a powerlifter, yeah, there probably would be some element of grip training, neck training, additional stuff thrown in maybe. But for me and my goals right now, it's not really intentionally in there. I think the only real neck training I probably do, although secondary muscle groups, is a side raise machine, so like that. One is a shoulder press, like an overhead press, and obviously that targets your upper traps. So if you sit in your chair bed right now and just go like that, feel your traps as you do it, you'll feel the upper trap fibers actually contract and shorten. So that, as far as my neck training, it's just the trap stuff I really do, although that's secondary. I don't like training neck. I don't like the feeling of it. Makes me cringe a bit for some reason. I don't know. But yeah, I do see some people with like enormous muscular necks, and I think, how do you breathe, guys? I'm quite aware that's something which is closely linked or correlated with sleep apnea, apparently. All right, guys, I think that's me done for tonight. Well, hopefully Jerome will be here next week, and also maybe Rick, maybe Nicole, maybe Sophie. Most of these guys have a lot of work commitments and stuff at the moment, so it's mainly just me at the moment. But other than that, keep an eye on my channel. If you're a channel member, you're listening to this, there's a few useful new videos out. So one of them is my contest prep, which is I released today, actually. I better give a quick rundown of what's going on. Other ones, I've got beginner and intermediate workouts. So I talk through how to start a beginner's workout and an intermediate workout for the average middle of the road person. And I've got videos on contest prep with my friend Stefania Mariso. She's probably the first, I'd actually probably say the first female carnivore bodybuilder ever. Actually, I'm pretty certain she is. She's been doing it for about 7 or 8 years. And I've got other videos as well on reaction videos, all sorts of weird stuff. And also my Beef Up Carnivore Bodybuilding ebook audio version is on my channel member section. I've already had 52 views already, which is quite cool. But yeah, anyway, that's 4 hours and 18 minutes long. So it's my whole ebook narrated pretty much. So I recommend, if people aren't a member, to listen to that one. Just going through the usual stuff underneath the description where it says join my channel as a member, or there's a button if you scroll across on mobile. It says join channel now from as little as 99 pence per month, scaling all the way up to, I believe, £8.99. And that way you can actually see or listen to my audiobook. Very clear, very concise, very informative. You can scroll through it, pause it wherever you want. So I do recommend checking that one out as well. I'll be here next time if you want. Yeah, cheers, Rick. If you got the spare time, I know you're busy doing stuff outside and whatnot. So if you did want to hop on, I'll send you the link. I I've seen some people on YouTube use a neck cable attachment or flexion, extension, rotation. That's right. I think I want to say Sean Baker uses one like that. I just don't have problems with my neck. I don't want problems with my neck. So for me, it's not a risk worth taking, just for me. Would I try and strengthen it if I did have a neck surgery or disc problems up there? Maybe a little bit. I'd get some extra blood flow to it, maybe. Discs don't tend to get much blood flow, so it would be something I'd look at. But right now, I'm trying to avoid doing anything that doesn't absolutely serve me, my goals in bodybuilding. But yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, Matthew, think about what I said about the bicep workout. So maybe it's not that you need to do more. Maybe just what you need to do is better or harder, more intense, more strict. I don't know, without looking. But yeah, you could try to maybe send me a video file of your technique, and I could always look at it on a live Q&A chat, and that might be helpful for you to hear. Same goes with anyone that's listening to this right now. If you wanted me to look at a short clip, like a 2-minute clip of you doing an exercise, you want me to analyze it, critique it, or build up and be your hype man, let me know, and I'll try and do that on a live Q&A. But you do have to post it to me at least a day before so I can get it organized, put in the right documents and things. Otherwise, I'll probably lose it. I generally eat lunch at this time. I often get Monday off work and just do jobs here. Yeah, my busy days tend to be Friday to Monday or Tuesday. My weekends are never really free. Usually they'd be occupied quite a lot with. And when I was at Sophie's house, I'm at my house right now. I'd be occupied with like stuff with the girls, so they'd go to clubs and things. So I wouldn't have that much time to do extra work and things. But yeah, I tend to just have a day or two here where I just take the whole afternoon off, the whole morning off, and do something else. And I think we all need breaks, guys. We're not meant to work 40 hours a week. I don't care what anyone tells you. I've watched your members' videos. Great job, Jonathan. Cheers, appreciate that. Matthew, let me know if there's specific videos you do want. Be aware I do have a giant backlog of about 80 videos I intend to make but haven't made yet. But if there's specific videos and people say, oh, I want a video on this, and it comes up a lot, I usually do oblige and record the video and make it look nice and stuff. But yeah, I appreciate your kind words. Do you ever do any specific core work, or do you get stimulation from compound movements? That's a good question. I do deliberately do abdominal work now, and that consists of 1, sometimes 2 sets total per week of a cable crunch. So the cable attachment be above me, like here. I'll usually go onto my knees, but I'll sit back on my heels, my feet, and I'll just crunch down. But all the movement is in abdominal contraction and flexion. And what I do deliberately is just so I'm in full control, so I don't injure my back at all, is I almost extend my lower back as I go up. So I keep my movement really rigid and controlled. But I don't hyperextend, so I don't, squeeze it back, if that makes sense. So that's probably what I do for core work. But I do get a lot of stimulation from a lot of the back movements specifically, and the tricep movements, and also the weeks I occasionally do a hack squat movement. So that will work your core to some extent. The pull down movements do actually work my core, because although a lot of people, you see the people in the gym, they tend to like lean back and pull it like that. I tend to keep my core straight. So I extend my lower back slightly, then sink down, like I'm crunching my abs. Then I pull down, that kind of way. So that will work your core quite a lot. The other one is a tricep push down. So I'll use whatever grip feels comfortable at the time. I try to stick to the same one. I just push it down like that. So I lean forward slightly. So that will inevitably engage some core as well. But that's all I honestly do. The other thing I might do as I approach the contest is do some ab vacuums. Although I am posing in the mirror after the gym, probably perhaps every other gym session, I'll do a few like vacuums, like tummy tuck sort of things. I'll just hold that for as long as I can. So that's what I like to do. I think if you train really, really, really hard with a set amount of movements, you don't need all this extra stuff. But then again, like Matthew sort of said, if you're doing everything perfectly of your biceps, but they're just not growing, okay, maybe add in a bit of extra something. Maybe it's that he doesn't need more, I don't know, maybe he doesn't need more brachydorialis or brachyradialis on the side of the bicep head, that outer bit. Maybe he needs more inner. So maybe he just changes the exercise slightly to sort of suit him more. So what I usually go for is get the movement right first, then change it from there and add stuff in. If I wanted obliques, the side muscles around your abs to be more prominent, I'd add in some stuff. But apparently my midsection looks quite good on stage. I have all the lines and stuff, so I don't need to do extra. But saying that, if this year I'm looking at my photos week to week and thinking, there's not much definition here, I'm going to absolutely add in something in if I think there's a requirement for it. But it's always about just doing the minimum effective dose and just getting stuff right first, getting the cornerstones of like the diet, training, recovery right first, then adding other stuff down the line. Doug McGuff has special neck machines. That's right. Yeah, he has some interesting stuff from what I've seen. Yeah, I think Jerome's more into. Jerome doesn't really recommend that sort of thing, but any sort of extra accessory exercises, Jerome's quite keen on. So his fundamental split includes things like forearm extension, and in fact, I personally don't do it. I don't see a need for it. If I had tiny forearms and I cared a lot about it, I'd add in these things. If I, cared about other stuff, I'd add in the odd little movement here and there. But to be honest, look at my physique and like just get the big muscles working. That's all I need to do. That's cool. Nice to see you, Ben. Thank you for joining. Thank you. Just good. Thanks, Ben. We just had a chat quite a lot about exercise specificity today. A little bit about biohacks, some other stuff that might be useful to people. That's about it, I think. Then my light died, so I replaced it with different light. Yeah, you haven't missed much, to be honest, Ben. But yeah, let me know how you're doing. Actually, send me an email, Ben, how you're doing with your current training program, because I understand you're doing something a bit different now. Just send me an email if you get time or if you want to. Hi, Jonathan, been doing this now. I don't know. It's good, it's bad. I don't know. I'd be interesting to also let hear, but glad to be here. Thanks, Suze, for joining. My pleasure. Again, just listen back to what we went through. There's quite a few good points in this video, I think. Nothing I'll make clips out of because the lighting is dreadful and I don't want more lights on me, to be honest. Just so I can optimize sleep quality. But yeah, we're gonna be here again next week, guys. Next Monday and Tuesday. Tomorrow, you ought to have seen the notification come out if you're a member, hopefully, as long as the platform hasn't hidden me. But I will say that tomorrow we'll be doing Carnivore Team GB, a live Q&A, session number 13, I believe. I think everyone will be there, but I'm not absolutely sure. But that'll be at 7 p.m. UK time, so 15-minute earlier start time than whatever it was today. Really, I should just make them both 7 o'clock, but I don't know. Maybe I'll do that next time. But anyway, that's all for tonight, guys. Thank you for joining, and thank you for all the channel members that have tuned in with your questions. Thank you, Andrew, for your insights towards the grounding shoes, the leather shoes. And thank you, Rick, for acknowledging and agreeing to come on next week, hopefully. And thank you for all the questions from, I think it's everyone, Matthew and Sophie and Lambs and Mike as well, and Zbigniew. Brilliant. All right, take care, guys. Cheers.